Maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but photography should be fun. And to me, one of the fun things about photography is trying and learning new things. And I mean, to me, this still feels like there's so much that I could learn. Like, I've never done astrophotography. I would not consider myself a landscape photographer. And for the past like 10 to 15 years, I've been afraid of flash. So I tried some flash. And turns out flash can be pretty fun, but before we get into that, let's take a few steps back. I got this flash, Neewer sent it to me, and thank you, Neewer, for sending this over to me so I could give it a shot. I had been looking at like a hot shoe flash for a while, but I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't want to make the leap, I guess. But it's just kind of funny how timing works out. I got an email from my Squarespace website, not a sponsor, maybe they will be one day, who knows. But I got an email and it was like, hey, would you like to partner with Neewer? And I was like, this is for sure a scam, but turned out it wasn't. And yeah, they sent me over this flash and it's incredible. I've only had it for about a month, so not enough time for like a full-blown review, but definitely enough time for some first impressions. So let's just get into it. So first impressions. It's super compact. Like, I really love the size, look, and weight of it. It comes with this really nice carrying case that makes it feel like pretty well protected whenever you just want to throw it in a bag. It fits in my little Uniqlo sling, no problem. And I definitely feel like I could take it anywhere. And as it stands right now, it's pretty much the perfect complement to my Fujifilm X Pro 3. But that's actually not the first camera that I tried it on. I tried it on the Nikon Z6 III. The thought there was that this flash, I think, is tuned for like a 28mm focal length, and I have a 28mm prime for the Z6 III. But I quickly found out that it is super powerful and super flexible, which is one of my favorite things about this flash so far. Okay, so let's talk about that flexibility piece. For me, my favorite types of tools or devices are things that I can grow with and that grow with me. And that's definitely what this flash feels like it's doing, or feels like it has the capability to do. So there's the auto mode, there's the manual mode, and then there's the slave mode where you can bring in other flashes and sync them all together. And for where I am right now, the auto mode is perfect. It's not intimidating, it's very intuitive to use. But I also feel like if I enjoy it and I feel like I'm starting to come up on limitations, then I could switch to the manual mode. And then if I ever want to build out my setup with more flashes, like, this can still be a piece of that kit. And so with that flexibility, it makes me feel like this is something that I can continue to use and learn and will scale with me as I do that. But the flexibility isn't the only thing that I feel like is worth mentioning with this flash. Something else that is potentially, I don't know, really important, and one of the reasons that I've been using it more than I thought I would is because it is fun, it is retro, it is cute, and it has that point and shoot film camera aesthetic. And because of that, I think when people see the photos, they get excited about them and they want to take more photos, or they want their photo to be taken more, which is a completely different experience than I've had with professional flashes, where people definitely tend to shy away a little bit more. And maybe that has to do with, you know, like bigger lenses that can be part of those like professional setups. But so far, this flash feels like fun and cute and easy to use in a way that I've never experienced with flash. So it's taking something that I've been fearful of and making it fun and exciting. All right, so let's take a step back. I want to talk a little bit about the auto mode and why it's so easy to use for me. So because it has that dial that's really tactile and fun to kind of fiddle with, it feels like for me, auto mode satisfies like 99% of what I need right now. I think that maybe as I get more comfortable with flash, I'll definitely want to lean more into the manual modes to kind of have a more consistent flash output. But for right now, the way that it meters and the way that I've been taking photos, it hasn't really been any issue at all. I've really come away with photos that I quite like. And I think that I could definitely fine tune that a little bit by keeping my exposure on my camera a little bit more consistent, but I've just been having fun and like changing all of the dials all of the time. So with that, I think I've just been really impressed by the fact that like I never feel like I need to switch into manual to get the correct exposure on the flash. I always feel like with the adjustments you can make in auto mode that I'm gonna be okay. And I guess maybe kind of building from that, like in terms of how I've been using the flash, I've kind of been setting my camera to, I've been using the shutter speed as kind of like my lever, the thing that I change the most. But for the most part, the ISO has been between 200 and 800. The aperture is usually 5.6 or 8. And then the shutter speed has been anywhere between 1/10 and 200. So with that flexibility, I feel like there's lots of different looks that I can get. I haven't done any of the like shutter drag stuff, although I do want to try it out. And I think that's the other thing that I've been impressed about with this flash is that the battery life is pretty great. I haven't charged it since the first time I charged it. And I think I'm still at like 4 or 5 out of 5 bars. I think it's rated for like over 500 shots, which at that point I'm switching out my Fuji battery anyway. So it just feels like it's a really easy thing to throw in a bag and kind of always have on me. And I think particularly with the Fujifilm X Pro 3, it pairs really well because that camera doesn't have IBIS, which does make it a little bit more challenging in low light situations. And also, that camera feels very like retro and nostalgic. With the Fujifilm Nostalgic Neg especially, I think you just come away with some looks like right out of camera that feel very much like retro inspired. So together it just feels like a really fantastic combination. I've also been using a manual focus lens, which makes it a little bit easier, especially with the optical viewfinder. I found that with the Nikon Z6 III, I was putting it into starlight mode to kind of like be able, for the camera to be able to see with some of those like darker exposures. But with the optical viewfinder, like I can see kind of as the world is and be able to adjust my flash exposure without having to look through the electric viewfinder, which also just makes it feel more nostalgic, more like film. So overall, it's been a fantastic package. I think with the price point that it's at, with the build quality, I haven't had any issues so far with any of the dials, any of the buttons, anything like that. It just feels like a really good entry-level flash, or a really good flash for someone who maybe is a little bit fearful of flash. It feels like there's not really anything to lose with this product. So if you're in a similar boat, if you're trying to overcome a fear of flash, then I would definitely recommend this tool. But also, if you have any tips and tricks as to how to use flash or some fun looks that I can get with flash, please drop them in the comments because I would love to continue to learn more about this and just kind of like lean into having fun with my photography again.
Horseshoe tattoo on the neck, fit dripped out, cop the hat with the checks. Western flow with the old Romeos, got the Spurs all attached like I'm San Antonio.